Hello, Ronald Corbin here. For this video, for the wiki page, I've decided to pick the topic of subject-verb agreement. Subject-verb agreement is often an issue or problem that we see with maybe more than one subject. The issue with subject-verb agreement is that sometimes it is possible to use the wrong form of a verb as it relates to a subject. For example, if you have a singular subject, that singular subject requires that you use a singular verb. In the same vein, if you have a plural subject, that plural subject requires that you use a plural verb or the plural form of what we would call the verb in order for it to be agreeable. The issue with that is in our everyday language, we tend to use subjects and verbs that really don't agree with one another. And when you read the text, it really points out that there are times that we use subjects and verbs that are in disagreement in our everyday conversation because we really don't know that it is an error in what we're using. For example, the proper use of a subject and a verb would be if I were to say the sentence, I likes cars. The word likes would not work as a verb that agrees with the subject I. I is a singular subject, which would require that I use a singular form of a verb, and which sometimes, even though it is singular, it still requires that I add an S. So instead of me saying I likes, it does not require S. Instead of me saying I likes, I would say I like cars. If I say likes, it would be no agreement with the subject at all. And in the same vein, we could say something in third person, or if I were to say something like I was at the mall, I would not take the word I and replace it with we and still say we was at the mall. I would have to also take the plural form of that verb and then say we were at the mall, which is the plural form of the subject we. And so you cannot cross a singular verb with a singular subject. Your subject and your verb must match, which then you have what we call subject-verb agreement. Any other way that you put a subject and a verb together, whether one is singular and one is plural, you have a disagreement, and that would not be proper grammar. It also would cause a reader to not have a flowing amount of information. So subject-verb agreement is very important. It is what helps a reader to be able to flow through a text. If there's no agreement, it's hard to understand exactly what it is one would be saying. And there's an exercise in the book, exercise 12, and it asks you to choose a verb that agrees in the number and the person with the subject. So it's asking, what is the proper use of a verb. For example, the number one statement was the students in Biology 101. Your choices are goes or go on a field trip each spring for a full day. You think about it. The students, which is the subject, is plural because there's more than one student. Your choices are go or goes on a field trip each spring for a full day. So if we say the students in Biology 101, what will we use? Goes or go? Very simply, you would say the students in Biology 101 go on a field trip each spring for a full day. And they go down with four more. They even use compound subjects, which use the words either or neither. But you still have to be able to use the rules for subject and verb agreement in order for the sentences to work.